Ever stop to think why there are no single-celled creatures the size of, say, a dog? Well, it turns out there's this kind of hidden rule in biology, a law that puts a strict size limit on pretty much every living thing, from a tiny bacterium all the way up to us. And today, we're going to figure out what it is. So, let's just start with this question. Why can't a living cell be as big as a chicken egg? I mean, an egg is technically one giant cell, but it's a total biological outlier, a special case with a very specific job. By the time we're done here, you'll understand exactly why the cells that make you have to be microscopic. All right, let's dive right into this mystery. We're going to investigate why there's this invisible wall that stops cells from just growing and growing, and why trying to break through that wall is, well, a complete disaster for the cell. At its heart, this whole mystery is really just a traffic problem. Yeah, seriously. Picture a cell as a tiny, bustling city. It's constantly needing supplies, like food and oxygen, to come in through its gates, and it has to ship its trash out just as fast. A cell's very survival hangs on how well it manages this flow. To really see this problem in action, we're going to walk through a classic science experiment, one you could totally do at home. It's the key that unlocks this entire puzzle. We are talking about the naked egg experiment, and it's just a brilliantly simple way to create a huge model of a cell so we can see the problem we're trying to solve up close. The process couldn't be simpler. You just take a regular raw egg and plop it in a glass of vinegar. The acid in the vinegar starts reacting with the eggshell, which is mostly calcium carbonate, and over the next day or two, you can literally watch the shell fizz away into nothing. After you gently rinse off all the leftover gunk, you're left with something pretty amazing, a naked egg. All its insides are just held together by this thin, flexible membrane. It's squishy, it's kind of see-through, and for us, it's the perfect giant model of an animal cell. So, we've done it. We've made our giant cell. But this is exactly where the trouble starts. To understand why a cell this big is basically doomed, we have to step out of the kitchen and into the world of mathematics, where the rules are, well, absolute. See, this problem isn't just about biology. It's a math problem. We're talking about a fundamental rule of geometry that dictates the shape of everything, from a star millions of miles away to the tiny cells inside your body. It's called the surface area to volume ratio. Sounds kind of nerdy, right? But all it means is the relationship between how much outside an object has, its surface, and how much inside it's got, its volume. For a living cell, this ratio isn't just a number, it is literally life or death. Okay, let's look at how this actually works. Check out this table. A tiny little 1x1 cube has a surface area of 6 and a volume of 1. That gives it a great ratio of 6:1. But watch what happens when we make it just a bit bigger, to 3x3. Its volume explodes by 27 times, but its surface area only goes up 9 times. The inside grows way, way faster than the outside, and that awesome ratio just collapses down to 2:1. And this chart really just slams the point home. As something gets bigger, its volume skyrockets, but its surface area just can't keep up. You end up with way less surface to serve a massive interior. The ratio just completely falls apart. So, let's bring this all back to our naked egg and this whole cell size mystery. What does this cold, hard rule of geometry actually mean for a living, breathing cell? Let's go back to that city idea, or maybe a factory. Think of the cell's surface as all the doors into the factory. And the volume? That's the entire factory floor inside. Every single thing the factory needs has to squeeze through those doors, and all the garbage it makes has to go out the same way. For a small cell, this system is perfect. There are plenty of doors for its little factory floor. Nutrients flood in, waste gets taken out super fast. It's incredibly efficient. But for our giant egg-sized cell, it's a total catastrophe. The factory floor is now enormous, but it hasn't added nearly enough doors. The middle of the cell starts to starve, waiting for supplies that can't get there fast enough. And the whole thing is slowly getting poisoned by its own trash. It's a logistical nightmare. Now, this might sound like some kind of fundamental flaw in biology, but nature, as it always does, has come up with an incredibly elegant solution to this little geometry problem. And that solution is you. It's me. It's every complex living thing on this planet. Instead of trying to be one giant, inefficient cell, we are built from trillions of tiny, hyper-efficient cells, all working together.
By building big things out of tons of tiny cells, evolution totally gets the best of both worlds. We get to be big, complex creatures, but each one of our individual cells gets to keep that high, super efficient surface area to volume ratio it needs to live. So you see, it's not a limitation at all. It's the fundamental design principle that makes complex life possible in the first place.
So in the end, a living cell just can't be as big as a chicken egg. Why? Because the unchangeable laws of geometry say it would starve to death long before it could take out its own trash. And that leaves us with one last really cool question. If a simple ratio like this puts such a strict limit on the building blocks of life, what other invisible math rules are out there shaping the world we see every single day?